Entertainment WM, I'm Catherine Morrison. Turning first of all to the world of radio drama. The Redditch Amateur Theatrical Society, affectionately known as RATS, well, they were formed in 1949 and they've produced numerous stage plays and comedies since then. Now some of them are branching out into radio drama with actor David VANN, who plays the policeman in the Radio 4 series The Archers. David lives in Redditch and he's running a series of lessons in conjunction with the town's Alexandra Hospital radio station, and he hopes to have this group ready to perform several plays by Christmas. He'll be teaching them various acting, producing and writing techniques, and eventually he's aiming for a whole troupe to replace the Archers. But, as Chris Humphreys found out, radio drama isn't as easy as you may think.
Well, actually, just because people aren't looking at you doesn't make it any easier. You have to think that all the audience have is what they hear, and you have to create a whole sound picture for them, from location, appearance, type of furniture, everything. And you can't be sort of obvious. You can't have lines like, "Well, my dear, come into the drawing room. There's a nice pink sofa over there, sitting on a nice carpet." You can't do that. I mean, simply because the minute you start to over-describe the environment, what you end up with is a boring sort of guided tour of a stately home or something, rather than a real drama between people.
How do you do that then? How do you set a scene? I mean, do sound effects come into being really important?
I think sound effects are probably almost as important, if not more important in some cases, than the actors themselves, because the whole ambience, the whole location is established by what the background sound is. I mean, it's why in a well-equipped drama studio you will have 3 or 4 different locations, all with a different acoustic, so that you can, without moving out of doors, you can actually create the effect of being out of doors because of the lack of echo. And you can go into a room which is so designed that it will create the impression of being in a small space. Obviously, if you happen to be the BBC, then you're well set because they've got an enormous library. If you're us, then you're grovelling around the local library for sound effects records, or trying to beg, steal and borrow from wherever you can get them, or doing them yourself.
Sheila, you're one of the people that's taking part in the workshops. Why did you want to do that in the first place?
It's one of the areas that I hadn't worked in, and certainly one that I found was interesting. I believe when I started it was going to be so easy, but in actual fact it's been extremely hard work, and has not only taught me a lot about radio work, but also improved my skills on stage.
Which different skills are you using? I suppose you don't need to move your hands and make gestures in so many ways, but your voice needs to be a lot better.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. If you're on stage, you can use your body movements, your hands, the way you stand or sit, to indicate a particular emotion. On the radio, obviously, because it's not visual, it's a sound concept, you haven't got these skills. So the actual emotion has got to come from the voice, which means using various ranges of your voice and various degrees of it. It's all got to come from how you speak, and it's very difficult. We're used to using a lot more equipment as stage actors and actresses than we are in radio. I suppose it's like somebody who's been used to drawing with charcoal suddenly going into oils. It's the same art form, but it's a different medium.
David, how do you actually try and get that point across? If they've got to use their voice a lot better, how can you actually train the voice? Is that effectively what you're doing?
What I found with this group when I started, this group in particular when I started, was that they had quite good control of the middle range, but the top and bottom and the flexibility between it was somewhat limited. It's like being able to play the 2 middle strings of a violin and never touching the top and bottom string. And through exercises, I mean basic voice training exercises.
What do you mean? What sort of exercises do you do to your voice then?
Well, breathing exercises, learning to do really unspeakably boring things like how to count to 45 on one breath, and learning how to sing arpeggios, learning to be able to use the pitch break of the voice so that you actually bounce from the very bottom of your range to the very top of your range without anybody noticing you're doing it.
Ho, 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 ho.
Well, you must have heard that, surely.
Yes. My gosh, look. It can't be.
Well, it certainly looks like it, but
It's a deputation from the Regional Health Authority.
Hello, my dears. Merry Christmas.
Where's Sister? I must tell Sister. I've been working too hard. Too many shifts in maternity. I'm hallucinating.
Where's she going? I haven't given her a present yet.
She's gone to find Sister, and that's where I'm going too.
No, come back. I'm quite harmless. Oh dear, how difficult it is being Father Christmas nowadays. It always used to be so easy. Nice wide chimneys and people who believed in me. Rudolph? Rudolph! Bring that sleigh up here.
David VANN is, by the way, rehearsing the cast of Inspector Calls, which he's directing, and that'll be on at the Redditch Palace Theatre from September the 18th until the 23rd.